Welcome to episode 13 of the Matlock podcast. Pregame.
In this week's episode, Alfie visits Jacobson Moor as Madeline tries to process her feelings of guilt over Ellie's death after a confrontation with Edwin. Olympia feels her class action against the makers of an alcoholic energy drink is threatened by a prosecution, and so acts pro bono in defence of the accused killer, as she hopes to prove that no crime has occurred. But can she convince the charismatic new ADA to accept defeat?
You don't like children, shocking.
I like the ones with advanced reasoning capabilities and expansive verbal skills, not the ones with sweaty chocolate hands.
Good morning, Ian. How are things?
Not too bad, Gerry. How are your sweaty chocolate hands?
Tasty. Do you want to lick them?
No, thank you.
Smell my fingers.
I'm off sweet stuff.
Are you?
Yeah. Okay. Fun guest star in this episode.
Well,
Briefly. At the end.
We're not discussing them this week.
No, we can mention them.
Maybe I will.
She was there.
But there's no trivia.
Okay. Did this one get you into an Eastery frame of mind?
Sitting there looking at the chocolates, yeah. I can. Some people don't like an Easter egg, but I can sit back there, and I often do. Crack open a big one myself, eat that, and then all the contents inside, and then feel repulsively ill.
I used to enjoy the ones that had the sort of jigsaw-y pattern that you could break them into those shapes, and you're like, whoa, that's a nice size piece. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, no, I just like putting them in the fridge and then give them a crack on the table.
Refrigerated Cadbury's chocolate, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Don't give me any of those Hershey's ones, or worse, Kinnerton.
Kinnerton?
They're the ones with the branded
Sam Kinnerton. Anyhow.
Not good. If you want to discuss your favourite Easter eggs, you can get us on social media at Colombo Podcast on all the major channels, including Blue Sky, etc. If you want to find out about each episode, there's show notes at colombopodcast.com. And if you want to listen to next week's show 1 week early, head to our YouTube channel, Colombo Podcast Productions.
Let's crack on. We start in what looks like a fever dream with Stuart begging Madeline to sniff his giant bunny costume.
Are we skipping the recap this week?
No, I'm doing my bit first, and then I'm changing it up.
Are we going to do it in a flashback?
Go for it.
So the recap reminded us about the overarching concept, the need to prove that Julian was in the document room, learning about the key card and the system, and the fact that Madeline has a plan to take Julian's card. Sarah and Simone's rivalry, Simone asking Billy out, Sarah being honest with Kira the last time we saw them, and the confrontation between Madeline and Edwin, or at least part of it, at the end of last week's episode.
So after the sniffing,
there was a really bright flash cut from the recap into this week's show. As you say, Stuart is in a rabbit suit, and he explains to Madeline he's testing it out.
Why?
Senior loves to wear it on Family Day, the non-denominational equivalent of Easter that they have in their largely Jewish-run firm.
The notion of blame, because I think Stuart talks about he'll get the blame if it's not in a fresh enough state, causes Madeline to flash back to last week where Edwin admitted that he sometimes does blame her for what happened, but couches it by saying that he only refers to the timing.
Yes, she blames herself, so she thinks he shouldn't feel too bad for saying that, and part of the reason for her going after this cause so fervently is that sense of guilt.
We cut to her giving Lucius a gift of the Snowkeeper's daughter, which he puts on the pile alongside a number of murder mysteries as Madeline spots a photo of his daughter and asks if she will meet her on Family Day.
He says yes after the change of guard at 3 p.m.
This question was, of course, to find that out as we hear back at the Kingston mansion. This change of guard is going to allow her to grab the printouts of Julian's whereabouts on the day in question.
Yeah. You mentioned this, you're saying Kingston Mansion, it reminds me of something we discussed, I don't think, on the podcast last week, about the decision they've made to move to New York and then acquire a mansion.
Yeah.
It's a bold step for someone who's trying to hide their identity.
Very much so. Not just that, we've never really discussed the source of their wealth. So we do know he was a history professor. Notoriously, academics paid nothing in comparison to rich people. So he's not on a massive salary. I know in America, the legal system is more conducive to making a large amount of cash. But I've got a couple of issues with this. The lawyers who are massively wealthy tend to be quite well known, certainly within lawyering circles. And you would think that she who has earned enough to acquire this mansion at this stage of her career or her life, along with a driver.
In a new city that they've just moved to.
Yeah, it's a really odd one. And how much money is she? How much is she making? I mean, I know they're wealthy, but it's only really her salary, and she's...
Yeah.
It's huge. This is multi-millionaire stuff we're talking about. Yeah. And it's close enough for her to... So it's in the outskirts of New York City. Like New York.
Westchester.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you assume they own it. It's not an Airbnb or something that they're using temporarily.
Even if they don't, even if they're renting this, the rental on these type of properties in that location would be astronomical.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's one of these questions that I don't know if it stands up to much interrogation.
No. And there's no real reason for it. You should have them in some normal suburban house going under the radar as part of what they're doing. Yeah,
it's whose insistence is it that they have this level of opulence?
Mm-hmm.
Like, which one of them has said, right, we'll move to New York, we'll do this grift, but I'm having a mansion with 12 bedrooms and a driver.
Even buying it requires lawyers, and it could have been someone from...
Yeah, unless they already owned it, which there's no indication is the case.
But again, I want to know how they afford this on one lawyer's...
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility she had her own firm, I guess, and it made a lot of money, but we don't know anything about that.
But and again, that would be massively risky, because that, again, if it's her own firm...
images of her somewhere, Anyway, at this point, there's a nice little skit where her phone rings with the Twilight Zone theme, which she uses to signify a call from her sister Bitsy,
who she claims not to have the energy to talk to. Edwin agrees that Bitsy, is a lot.
And then his phone rings with the same ringtone.
Yes. Which he ignores, but asks Madeline if she is sure she doesn't want to visit her for Easter, especially since Alfie has always had a good time when he's there.
Yes, and Bitsy makes a famous peach pie. But Madeline's not so keen on that now, because since Bitsy went diabetic, she is now sugar-free.
In Senior's office, we find...
Is it Senior's office? Yeah. I thought they were in Olympia's office. And he came by.
Doesn't really matter
now. As you say, they're all very similar.
We find her telling Senior that he doesn't think that family day would be Alfie's type of thing, although he thinks every kid is into non-denominational buddies.
It's one step away from the holiday armadillo.
He then turns to ask Olympia about something called slamm'd, and she's quite positive news.
Yes, the class has been certified. They've got a great lead plaintiff, and the trial begins next week.
And this case will be the one that gets her the partnership.
Yes, she's swatting away his concerns about the cost to the firm so far, so obviously they've invested quite heavily in this case.
He leaves, and Olympia tells Madeline that she wants to meet Alfie, as it is the...
This is a weird statement, by the way, that you're about to repeat.
Oh, you tell us.
It's the one part of Madeline's life that is still a mystery to Olympia. The one part. Really? They've had like 10 conversations?
Yeah. And if only she knew.
Well, there's that as well.
So back in the mansion, Edwin apologises for what he said, but Madeline is over it and quotes her friend Cindy Shapiro, who essentially told her to pull up her big girl's pants and get on with family day.
We should say, though, earlier in that conversation, she's trying to avoid being a bull in the china shop, as he accused her of being the night before.
We see that this is playing on her mind throughout the episode. I think she's taking it on board, what he said, and thinking... Or maybe she wasn't as aware of her behaviours before.
Maybe.
And the Youth 3 office.
Yes, Sarah's not, as we heard, enthused about the idea of family day, and Billy is in no way surprised that she's not that into kids.
Although she does admit that she will change if Kira is a family person, and is quite nervous about their diarised talk they're going to have in 3 days. Firstly, and I'm taking notes live, so at this point I don't know what's coming along, but I've noted to myself here, she really needs to get over her, and I am now actively disliking Kira.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and more reasons for that later on, but...
I'm glad, because Kira could have changed my opinion, but at this point I think I hate her.
Yeah, no, she's... I don't know if she's meant to be really a parody of modern people. I don't really understand.
From the first time we met her, with her, her casual talk about Tinder, or whatever it was, just thinking that would be acceptable and perching on desks, she irritated me. And then, the other, how she treated Sarah was quite appalling.
And Sarah's particularly upset now because she sees Kira walking past their office with Simone.
Well, the desperation reeks out of Sarah. And I think that's what I'm saying. I'm feeling really bad for her because from all angles, her personal life, her friendships with her colleagues, and her business life has been attacked. It's been undermined. She's feeling utterly vulnerable, and
she's basically the one sympathetic character at this point.
Yeah.
In this whole show, and I'm very much on her side.
Yes, yeah.
I think
Billy does a less than stellar job of reassuring her that she's nothing to worry about.
He's being awkward because he is now seeing Simone and doesn't want to tell her that.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Well, we know from the end of last week that she was propositioning him, so we imply from his awkwardness here that he's gone through with that, but he can't tell Sarah that that's how he knows there's nothing for her to worry about with Kira and Simone.
He then gets a call from one of his many sisters asking about the SLAM'd class action.
So they head through to inform Olympia in her office,
who's with Madeline. What's the news?
Okay, so first of all, she gives some exposition about SLAM'd, which we need.
See, initially I thought it was just an energy drink.
I think it's an alcoholic energy drink.
Right, okay.
Which is probably not a great combination, but you do get them.
It's just the same as vodka Red Bull, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. I don't know if you even get alcoholic energy drinks in the stores.
I don't think you do.
No.
Well, maybe you can buy a mixer. Sometimes you can buy these pre-mixed vodka Red Bulls.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway.
We'll go on to this, but I've got an issue with who's blaming who, and
we'll come to that. There's a lot of unpacking to do later on. Olympia says that this drink is targeting kids and alcoholics.
Kids, they're in their 20s.
Well, again, another conversation that we need to have at some point here.
So Billy tells him about a sorority girl called Violet who apparently had a heart attack after being spiked with SLAM'd.
Yes, this was at a sorority house at Fordham University, which is in the Bronx.
Now again, was she spiked? She was handed a drink at one of these parties. People chug anything.
Well, this is to be discussed, I think.
Yeah.
The girl who is accused of doing this to her has been charged with felony assault, and Olympia wants to know if she has a lawyer.
Seems a bit harsh, giving someone a fraternity person a drink and
getting charged with a crime.
It's like handing them a Snickers bar and they've got an allergy to peanuts. I suppose we find out later she might have known about a health condition.
I think if you knew someone had a nut allergy and you gave them a Snickers bar, that would be considered some kind of crime, wouldn't it?
Only if you told them it wasn't a Snickers bar, there was no nuts in it.
Yeah. It's a Mars. Have this Mars bar.
I suppose if you've got a heart condition and you're just drinking random things at a party, it's up to you to be aware of, what you're putting in your body.
Well, there's that, isn't there?
Yeah. Anyway, because of Billy's cop connections, the team are able to head to the police station just before she is to be questioned.
Let's walk through the events of the night, starting there.
She won't be answering any more questions.
Let me guess. You're her lawyer?
I need some time alone with Miss Santos, please. And you can take a notepad with you. You're not getting a confession out of her. Zoe, I'm Olympia Lawrence. This is my team.
I can't afford a lawyer. I'm on scholarship. My parents don't live here.
Well, that's fine, because we're taking your case pro bono.
Why would you do that?
I'm going to tell you the truth, Zoe. And in exchange, I would like the truth from you too, okay? This drink slam that put Violet in the hospital is evil and it needs to be off the market. It's hurt a lot of people. It's aimed at kids like you, and it's got to be stopped. And I've got a big class action lawsuit where I plan on doing just that. But if you are charged, let alone found guilty, well, that puts the fault on the person and not the product, which will hurt my case. So I need to prove that you are innocent.
I didn't put SLAM'd in the cup. Okay, I don't ever serve that stuff.
Are you engaging me as your lawyer? Okay, hang tight. I'm gonna go see what we're up against. You two, get your hands on the police report from the night of the incident, and Maddie will help you reach your parents.
Hey, Zoe, you can trust Olympia. She's in your corner.
Yeah, I've got a few questions.
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how this hurts Olympia's case, no matter what way you look at it.
Okay, but the first thing is this. So any food or drink will be regulated by the FDA. So they will have submitted the ingredients, that have been tested, it's been registered, and they have approved it. If people want it off the market, go to the FDA. This isn't like something you would take them to court for. I wouldn't have thought. Again, maybe it's just a different culture. And I'm not saying it's a worse culture, but it's just quite amusing. These people in their 20s, and 20 and 21, and they're talking about alcohol. Obviously, in this part of the world, the drink limit is 18, but we were drinking at 14, 15.
Yeah.
Buckfast, look up that if you want to talk about, what's
That's a similar sort of idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and we were getting wrecked all the time. So it's just, they're adults.
Yeah.
They're saying, this drink is evil. What, a little bit of energy drink and alcohol? I'm not saying it's good. It's probably repulsive stuff, but it's been approved. It's been FDA approved. What is your problem here?
I expect we're going to find out next week when the slamm'd trial happens. I don't know if it's worth spending too much time on it in this episode.
Okay. I mean, maybe I'll be able to tackle it from a marketing point of view if you are pushing it. But then again, if you're old enough, I suppose we used to have the Alco Pops here.
Yes.
And
you still get them.
You still get them, but I think they were marketed more at a younger audience. Maybe that's been pulled out of.
Well, there's a lot of advertising regulations here now. You can't even advertise fast food to young people here anymore.
Quite right. McDonald's do.
Do they?
Happy Meals, no?
I don't think they market them so much, no. And there's things like on the London Underground, you can't get adverts for fast food there.
Yeah, no, it's quite right.
Yeah. Anyway, my question is, how does Zoe using slamm'd to kill somebody hurt Olympia's case against slamm'd? Someone knew it was a lethal weapon and used it, and therefore it's fine.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Surely, if anything, it helps her case. These people recognise it as a lethal cocktail and use it to kill people.
Yeah.
So her explanation about it being about the blame being on the person and not the product doesn't make any sense to me.
None whatsoever. At the DA's office, the assistant
DA.
Yeah, well, it's the DA's office, and she's talking to the ADA. An obviously overworked Park, is that his name? Park. Who doesn't even have time for his for having a family.
So he says he's got the photo that came with the frame up on his shelf.
And so Olympia offers to help take some of this burden from him by suggesting that he drop the case against Zoe.
Do we think he's telling the truth when he says that's the photo that came with the frame? Could this be a ploy to kind of be cagey with Olympia?
Maybe, yeah. You would really have to be quite a bit of a psycho to keep strangers in your photo frame.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you put the frame up in the first place?
Exactly.
Unless you just don't have time. But you still wouldn't put it up.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, he thinks that there is plenty of evidence to suggest that Zoe committed a crime on this occasion.
But she is claiming that it's the product, not the person. It was clearly an accident. But he refers to the number of witnesses of a huge fight between Zoe and Violet.
Yes, they also have evidence that Zoe knew about Violet's heart condition and pressured her to drink this drink that caused her to have a cardiac arrest.
What's the motive?
Oh, because I think we hear is this where we hear that Violet's run off with her boyfriend?
Yeah, apparently Violet has stolen Zoe's
sure, that just happens at that age.
Of course, yeah. But not only that, there is video evidence, I think obviously people on their phones, of Zoe handing Violet the cup that she drank from and in fact encouraging her to chug.
Yeah, but unless it contains poison or something, what's the crime?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, at a party, it must happen all the time. You encourage people to drink. They could get alcohol poisoning, they could vomit, they could choke on their own and die, but that's just, I mean, these people are adults. They could have said, no, I'm not drinking this vile stuff and I'm not chugging because
I've got a heart condition. So, yeah, no. She didn't force it down her throat. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing here. Encouraged her to drink it. That's not a crime.
No, it's not. That's like saying, passing her a knife and saying, stab yourself.
Yeah,
no.
Maybe there's a crime of supplying alcohol to a minor if she's under 21.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's not the same as...
Or even at a party, is that...
I don't know.
I'm not sure that those rules would... I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's not murder. That's just...
Yeah. Well, talking about murder, there's a phone call comes in.
Yeah, okay, what is
it? I presume the hospital or the office telling the ADA that Violet has died, which Olympia is quite surprised to learn.
Yeah. Before that as well, we find out about a bear.
Yeah, so Olympia tries to say to him he doesn't want to go for this sort of little squirrel of a case. He wants his first big kill to be a bear. Yes, and we'll come back to that point later on.
In the police station, Zoe is obviously distraught. She's in tears and disbelief as Madeline tries to get her to focus before she's about to be arrested for manslaughter. It's not murder.
Made me think of you may or may not have seen the Liam Neeson film Taken.
Yeah, of course.
When he's on the phone to his daughter saying you're about to be taken.
Yeah.
This is all that Madeline's briefing her, like, these guys are going to come in, they're going to arrest you, but don't worry because we're going to get you as soon as we can.
And Madeline's got a very specific set of skills.
Well, she certainly does.
So she explains the next steps in the process.
Yes, and we see it.
Yeah, her being sort of photographed and fingerprinted, etc.
Yeah. Some details from that document.
Okay.
Zoe's 5'5", weighs 105 pounds. She's got brown eyes, and she was born on the 21st of November 2003.
Madeline also emphasises the need for her to remain silent, speak to no one, after which she is led away distressed and crying.
Distressed and crying?
Yeah, you can be distressed without crying.
I'm sure you can.
Mm-hmm.
At Jacobson Moor in the meeting room, Zoe has been obviously extracted from prison.
She's been bailed out, yeah.
Madeline assures her that her dad will be there any minute, and Olympia asks for details of the night of the party.
So she explains that she's 21. They're not meant to have alcohol in the sorority house, whatever it is, but she's 21, so she keeps some drink in her dorm and served a Zoe Zinger to her friends.
That is some hubris there, naming a drink after yourself. No one else has ever thought of this.
Honestly, again, it's just these people. But by the time I was like 21, I'd been drinking in pubs for like best part of 6 or 7. I remember, right, I'm going off on a tangent. You're buying, I think I was either 14 or 15. I won't name the pub, but it was beside the police station in Hamilton. But we used to get in, and there'd be 5 or 6 of us. None of us looked 18, and we didn't mind. We didn't cause any trouble. There used to be happy hour between £7 and £8 a pint. We would buy 6 or 7 pints of heavy. So we'd have 35 or 40 pints sitting. We'd buy it at the same time. So I would go up and I'd say, 7 pints of heavy, please. That'd be £7. We would still have enough for 10 Benson Hedges cigarettes, which we would smoke. And that would leave us a couple of quid at the end of the night for a bag of chips or something like that. And on the way home, a tenner's worth of entertainment.
A bag to vomit in.
A bag to vomit in, yeah. But about a 15-year-old, I'd be drinking 7 pints of heavy and smoking 10 fags.
Whenever I'm in Ayr, where I come from with my wife, and we're driving around, I always point out the same pubs that I used to go to when I was underage, and she's like, you've told me this 40 times now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that used to be called that. That was Dante's, that one was the Liquor Lounge, or whatever else. But none of them are there anymore, doing the same thing.
But that's what I'm saying. But these people are 20. At that point, 21. I remember there was a pub that I used to go to. I was in the pool team.
Yeah.
I'd been there for 2 years before it closed down. I was part of the pool team and I wasn't even 18. This is all my time.
Yeah. Well, these guys are only 20, so let's just take it easy with them. But at the same time, they've not had that culture, so they've not got the fortitude. Is that the right word? Maybe they've not built up They've not built up the resistance, perhaps.
Yeah, you used to do it down the path. 14-year-old, you were learning the hard way, vomiting in bushes, falling in the thing with getting into fights,
having abortions,
all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, we weren't.
Olympia wants a list of all of the girls at the party.
Can I point out how sickly sweet that Zoe Zinger sounds? Rum,
of course,
strawberry lemonade, and sour.
Yeah, it's just that's what I'm saying. It's kids' drinks, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like peach schnapps.
Yeah,
who drinks that except for small children?
I remember one time being utterly. That was one of my worst hangovers. Someone had that. I drank it. I remember drinking it in a swing park.
Right.
At night time.
Park.
Nope. And I can still remember it. I had a paper round the next day. That's how young I was. And I remember getting up. I drank a bottle of peach schnapps that someone had. Blind drunk, vomiting everywhere. Couldn't tell mum and dad actually why. I still had to get up from my paper round at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I had a water bottle on my bike. And every time I drank from the water bottle, it tasted like peach schnapps. I've never drank it since. Anyhow.
Yeah, it's peach lemonade they put in it, isn't it?
I don't know.
Generally.
But it was easy to drink because it was a kid's drink and we were kids. Anyhow.
Yeah, like you see, Olympia wants this list of all the girls and then asks Billy and Sarah to check out credit and debit card statements to see who might have purchased this slamm'd.
Again, I'm thinking to myself at this point, look, why are they doing all this? Someone will say, yeah, I bought it. It's not illegal. It's a drink.
Oh, it is if they're underage.
Yeah, illegal to buy it, but the thing isn't illegal. Who cares?
Well, because they're trying to find out if someone else put it in the drink without Zoe knowing.
But it's up to...
But then the person who bought it might not be the person if it's been sitting there.
But unless you're telling Zoe that it's non-alcoholic, you're at a party and everyone's getting drunk.
Yeah. Well, Zoe seems to know what it is.
Yeah, it's up to Zoe to find out what she's drinking.
And Violet, who is the one that actually drinks it. Although I think...
That's not what I'm talking about. Violet, it's up to her.
Olympia makes that same mistake later on in the episode.
Does she?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. She's then asked about Grant, her ex, but is adamant that it is nonsense to think that she would harm Violet because he cheated on her.
That might be a lie.
Maybe, yeah.
She wants to go back in time. This is just like we're just setting up another flashback for Madeline here, so that people don't come over or the drinks are not served. And Madeline, we see flashback to the end of her confrontation with Edwin from last week.
Yes, that triggered Ellie's death, the custody.
I'm concerned that these flashbacks might mean that Madeline's mental health is collapsing?
I think so. She keeps doing it.
So we'll ask about that later on, but just bear that one in mind.
Okay.
Zoe's dad arrives and she goes out to speak to him as Olympia and Madeline discuss whether Madeline feels okay.
Well, yeah, because I think there are almost tears in Madeline's eyes are wet.
Yes. Well, from the flashback, yes.
Yeah.
She says, or covers by saying, that she feels bad for Zoe with all these bad facts against her.
Olympia then gives them some bad news.
The lab results show that the drink Zoe gave Violet did in fact contain slamm'd.
And they have footage of Zoe giving it to Violet again. I don't want to keep repeating myself here, but so what?
Yeah. Well, Billy's watched enough procedurals to question how the cops got a hold of this evidence.
Yeah. And they consider there might be a Fourth Amendment defence.
Both Sarah and Olympia simultaneously say that a map hearing is required, which thrills Sarah.
Yes, because she was about to say the same thing and believes that there is now a mentor-mentee mind meld going on.
Yes. Or as we would say, jinx. In court now for this map hearing.
Yep, they are in front of a judge where Olympia is claiming that the search to produce the cup was unlawful as the cops entered the house by themselves before being escorted upstairs by one of the students.
Yeah, the judge seems persuaded. However, the ADA that we met earlier on produces, and this is absurd, a flyer showing that they had a clothing drive, which means the expectation of privacy was waived and the police can do whatever they want.
Okay, yeah, so they put posters up inviting people to quote, come on in, the doors will be unlocked all day. Mr. Bundy, Ted...
Surely they need to prove that the police were aware of this.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't even... Well, apparently they don't need to prove this. They've completely waived the right to any privacy at all.
Again, I'm not sure if that's the same system we have in this country. It seems weird. There's been a young person's died, and it's a technicality about them. It's like a vampire where they're invited into your home.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure they should be there gathering evidence.
Yeah. Anyway, the judge rules in favour of the ADA, who puts a toy figurine of a bear on Olympia's desk and says that she is his bear.
He's really rubbing her nose in it, isn't it?
This is going to be a love story by the end of the season.
I think so, yes. In Olympia's office.
My note here is they have ruined Sarah at this point. The writing for Sarah is abominable.
Yeah, Sarah thinks this bear is really cute and that perhaps she should get one, assuming it's some sort of mentor-mentee
They're making
bear.
her out to be a moron.
Yeah.
She's clearly a highly intelligent person. She's got some social issues, but she's not a moron who would think or say something like this in the way that she says. And it's also about the fifth time they've done this same joke.
Yeah.
Since she became a mentor.
Yeah, that is the thing. They are really... She's becoming a cartoon figure.
Caricature.
Yeah.
Anyway, Olympia says the bear is a declaration of war, and Billy and Sarah are tasked with interviewing the 19 other girls who attended the Pregame. We don't know what's that, do we? Attended the party.
Yeah, to find out if anyone saw anyone touch the cup while she and Madeline are going to go through discovery. So the pair leave and Olympia notices that Madeline is a bit distracted, and she admits that she has realised that she can be a bit of a bull in a china shop.
There's another flashback here.
Yes.
To Edwin saying it.
Olympia thinks that this is a positive attribute and challenges her to name a downside.
She says that she will do so later when they have more time, and then laments the kissy-faced smileys in the discovery. Yes, I too lament this. It's a terrible trend and should stop.
What is it they call it? It's not a trout pout.
It's a pout, some kind of pout.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, trout pouts when they've had their lips filled.
Lips. Yeah, so other one, yeah.
I think it's just a pout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile...
well, I should point out that we're probably not on terms with the current lingo. And there'll be a phrase that we just aren't aware of.
No, the hang with the trout pout.
I did enjoy Madeline doing one at the end of that scene.
So, the bold Billy is getting a bit of a kissy face himself as he has rightly, correctly, understandably decided that Simone is worth taking a punt on over his friendship with Sarah. I would do that. I said last week. Keep it in the lowdown. Don't rub Sarah's nose in it. But Simone is definitely worth a...
You're assuming that Simone isn't doing it just to wind up Sarah and will obviously make her aware as soon as she possibly can.
Wouldn't care. Not my problem. That's up to Simone. I would still bang her in the cupboard. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
You did. She's also like 25 years younger than you. Or
she's not 25.
More.
She's a mature-ish... Listen.
You're more than twice her age.
I'm not more than twice her age at all. Yeah, where you go.
Anyway, Simone admits that she is deliberately winding Sarah up, particularly when she's lurking around with Kira, and says it's far too easy to wind her up, which is cruel and horrible, but understandable.
She does, however, commit to Billy's half-hearted request for her to stop before he asks for a continuance and leaves.
Oh, lame.
Lawyer patter.
If she was genuinely interested in Billy, she wouldn't be after that. Anyway, out in the corridor, Sarah asks where he's been, and he lies and says he's been in the bathroom, and she tells him that he shouldn't have had that third latte, as she pointed out previously.
She then wants him to help deal with 19 sorority girls.
Yeah, she's terrified of
downstairs,
these girls, yeah.
They're leaving self-tan all over the place.
That's it. She then spots lipstick on Billy's collar and asks him about it, and he says it was his sister. That's the worst excuse.
Yes. Well, second worst, my mother.
Yeah, sorry, I was just having sex in the cupboard with my sister.
Anyway, they then sit and listen to the nonsense the girls describe about life in the sorority.
Could you run us through the night of the party?
Oh, it wasn't a party, just a pregame after the big little reveal before the mixer.
Great. Can you define all those words, please?
So, older girls, big sisters, are assigned a little. And you know who you're paired with at the big reveal because you're all wearing matching pajamas. I got Steph.
Kennedy is the absolute best. I was freaking out when I found out she's my big.
Violet was my little. I was just telling my mom how much I loved her. I can't believe she's gone.
And who was Zoe's little?
Meg.
Hi.
Hi.
I can't believe this.
Don't worry. Whoa, wait. No selfies.
So, that night, everyone was in their jammies.
Kennedy has ours monogrammed. B for big, L for little.
Who brought the slamm'd in?
No idea. That stuff is poison.
No one drinks slamm'd. We know what it does.
Did you see anyone touch Zoe's drink?
Oh, I didn't watch like a creepy stalker.
Cute.
Thank you. Did you see anyone touch her drink?
No. But my mom would die if I dated a lawyer.
That's not lipstick on color, girl, is it? So the DA's case is circumstantial, which means we need character witnesses for Zoe.
Right. Well, it probably shouldn't be me just because of what happened with Steph.
Zoe gave me a strike for my bracelet being of inadequate quality. It was missing a single pearl.
And she publicly announced it to humiliate her.
It was evil.
But it's nothing compared to how she treated Violet.
What do you mean? How did she treat her?
Apparently Zoe tortured Violet for months. Lindsay said that she was almost violent, no cap, at the Rep Your Hometown date dash.
Oh, no, you're confused. That was during Mr. For Your Sister, but it was bad.
And none of the 19 girls saw anyone else besides Zoe touch Violet's cup?
Nope. And even worse, all 19 girls think Zoe did it.
Listening to that makes me feel stupider.
Yeah, apparently there's lots of girls called Kennedy, but when we see the big picture of like all of them, there's none of them called Kennedy.
Is there not?
Annoying.
Okay.
Because I was looking through it to find out if she had a surname.
Also, why are these youngsters giving it, no one would touch slam, that's it. It's not crack cocaine we're talking about here.
No, and even if it was, they probably would speak about it more warmly than they do, but this is a very narrative-driven attitude, isn't it?
Slam. And we should say as well, it's slammed without an E at the end, it's obnoxious.
It's an apostrophe instead, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Should be removed from the shelves because of that. Yeah. Anyway, back at the mansion, Madeline is a bit down as she tells of misjudging Zoe to Edwin. And
so what does she mean by that? Does she mean that Zoe is worse than she thought?
Yes, she's a baddie. And considers this another mistake that she's made.
Okay, that seems like a bit of a leap to judgment there.
What do you mean?
Like, why she decided this now? Because all these girls say Zoe definitely done it.
Yeah, 19 of them.
Well, you know what girls are like though.
Oh.
Anyway, Bitsy calls again as Madeline revealed that she had to text her to say they're not coming for Easter.
Yeah, I think this is after they discussed the pros and cons.
Yes, pros and cons of Alfie attending Family Day, yes.
They're using him, like they're literally now as an asset here. So we can put him in this position where he's got to hang about with in a law firm.
Yeah.
What are the pros, what are the cons? Yeah, it really is.
And Madeline says that she wants Edwin to tell her what the answer is rather than leaving it up to herself.
She's herself now is lacking confidence in her own judgment.
Yeah, following that incident last week. And he explains to her that she has made thousands of great decisions through her life and he trusts her to make this one correctly as well.
Yeah, he goes on to tell her that she can't blame herself for Ellie ODing. It was inevitable it would happen at some point. She should blame the opioids and not her.
This is all very well, but yesterday he was saying it's your fault and I blame you. Yeah. You can't just walk that back by saying, I blame you for the timing of her death.
Well, that's what he did say.
Later on.
No, earlier he'd said that.
At the time, yes.
Yeah.
But that timing could mean then or 20 years later.
Yeah.
Anyway, the decision is made at this point that Madeline will take Alfie to family day.
Yeah, she looks up at the suspect board and sees Julian staring back, and I think that sort of strengthens her resolve.
Yeah, the mention of Ellie reminds her that she's fighting for something, whether it's valuable or not.
In the elevator, Olympia is delighted to hear that she will finally be meeting Alfie. Like, why? She met him once. He's a typical sullen teen. She's seen him once before, walking by. What's she expecting to get from this?
I think she's just being enthusiastic.
Yeah. Before they step out to be met by a freaking out Stuart who is missing his bunny head. And at this point I noted, Ian once suggested that maybe Stuart wasn't gay. For fuck's sakes. This is one of the campus characters in all of TV.
Could be a camp straight guy.
Yeah.
Julian passes at this point and tells Olympia, or when Olympia asks, he tells her that it's not her problem anymore whether he's okay.
It's a very curt exchange, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's back in the elevator and Olympia tells Madeline why he's so triggered by family day.
Yeah, she's got some sympathy for him. What happened?
Oh, so when he was 8...
This is probably one of the funniest scenes we've seen so far in this entire show, or lines.
Okay, when he was 8, he came to family day and Senior told him he was divorcing his mother without even taking the bunny suit off.
I was drinking some tea as I was watching this and literally did nearly spit over the keyboard.
Yeah.
It was, that's quite amusing.
Yeah, Senior's not the most emotionally literate guy, is he?
Telling some bad views in a bunny question. Your was deed. What an egg.
Yeah. Well, why are you so upset? What's going on? Olympia at this point gets a text message saying that a liquor store near the campus has a scan of Zoe's ID along with a time-stamped receipt indicating that she bought the can of Slamm'd with cash.
Doesn't look good for Zoe, does it?
It keeps piling up.
Yep. So they put this to her in the meeting room, but she flatly denies buying the drink and claims that someone must have taken her ID to make the purchase.
I don't think they're persuaded.
Well, everything else, she's an arsehole, apparently.
It seems that way.
Olympia cuts to it and reveals the accusations of the torture of Violet from the other girls, at which point she sheepishly admits to this, but still insists that she didn't buy the drink or put it in the cup.
She then does this whole sort of woe is me line about, I made her feel terrible and I'll never forgive myself.
Madeline,
you will. You will forgive yourself in about 5 minutes time.
As long as you get out of jail. You're saying this just now while there's a threat of you going to prison.
Well, people are watching you.
Yes. Yeah. Madeline holds her hand as she apparently expresses this pseudo-shame.
Yeah, well, because Madeline empathises because she's carrying the guilt from Ellie's death, obviously. Lay it on with a trowel.
And Olympia asks her to go over the movements on the day in question.
Yeah, she had brunch, a nap, a run, and then it was the party.
A nap? She's 21. What are you having a nap for?
Powering up for her run.
A nap at that age.
She had to plug in.
See, I used to have naps all the time. I still do, actually. Enjoy a nap.
I like a nap on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, she has selfies from her run in the park with timestamps on them, which Billy then reveals in Olympia's office makes it almost impossible for her to have been at the liquor store at the time of the receipt.
Yeah, there's a 19-minute difference.
Yes, so they need someone to run it and find out, which Madeline opts out of doing.
And this was a little bit silly, wasn't it? They had Billy and Sarah. He's in his suit with his shoes on. Not really. He was never going to do it in time.
No. But Sarah wants to know who it is that keeps texting him and whether it's the lipstick collar girl.
He is being coy. He says there's no girl, no woman.
She says he's got 3 tails and just did them all, and he says that's why there is a girl, but he has her under a code name in his phone. She then tells him there's only 2 more blocks to go and they have to keep running.
In the courtroom, Olympia has the liquor store owner on the stand, or an employee, and he insists that it was Zoe who bought the drink, but that the security cameras weren't working.
At this point, Olympia says that is very convenient and produces a list detailing dozens of violations in the past year alone for that store selling liquor to minors using other people's ID.
Again, I do not know what how strict the licensing authorities are in New York. In this country, that place would be shut down.
Get to dozens. Yeah, you'll be done.
One, they'll close you down, any of this sort of nonsense.
Yeah, if they've got evidence of that, yeah.
But certainly dozens, no chance you're allowed to sell alcohol.
No. And I don't think that this cross-examination is as helpful as they make it out to be.
No, it's not the slam dunk that she had hoped for.
No, but even this counter from the ADA is not as strong as he thinks it is.
Why?
So he brings out the list and gets this employee to say, oh, well, none of them were when I was working.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so someone else was signed into the till, or it's a culture at the place. Why does it really matter that you weren't? Anyway,
yeah,
that's the point.
No, but what we do find out here, I mean, he's quite an interesting character. He's obviously very driven. He's very motivated. He's like what Sarah used to be.
Smug.
He's very diligent, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's one of these guys that always thinks he's going to have the last word. He's got the answer to everything. And we'll see if that's the case.
There is, however, some positive news.
Yes, by phone, as Olympia leaves the courtroom, Sarah and Billy are able to confirm it's not possible to get from the Botanical Gardens to the liquor store in 19 minutes, which means Zoe's telling the truth and did not buy the slamm'd.
So now they need to figure out who, in fact, bought it.
In the elevator, Alfie reassures Madeline that he's 13, not 10.
Yes.
And therefore has the plan under control. They review and agree that their mom would be so proud with their little acronym, which doesn't save any time because every word in that has one syllable.
Yeah.
So using the letters doesn't save you anything.
I'm not sure if it's about time saving, rather more of a code.
Anyway, they're kidding themselves on. She wouldn't be proud.
No. And we find out, okay, so there's a shift change for Lucius at 3 o'clock, and he's going to tell the new guard that he lost his wallet, and it doesn't understand why Madeline is so nervous, and this is the point where they use the acronym.
Yeah. In Olympia's office, the team are reviewing the details of these underage girls who could have used Zoe's ID when Madeline arrives with Alfie and introduces him.
Yeah, and he does his stroppy teen role.
Yeah, he asks for the Wi-Fi, and Olympia tells him there's an open network for guests, and he then ignores Billy, who asks if he wants to help with their work, which they shouldn't be asking because it's confidential.
Exactly. Also, as you said, Olympia has told them to go through the photos from the party and see if any of them were near the cup. Unless this party was in a castle, of course...
Everyone will be near the cup. Yeah.
They'll all be within that room.
Ridiculous.
I'm not sure what they're trying to prove here.
Yeah, and then Billy and Sarah's tech know-how is undermined by Madeline, who is the only one to spot that the photos they've been reviewing are live photos.
That's an odd thing not to have noticed.
There's a little symbol in the corner of a live photo.
Yeah.
That's really poor work. Sarah would never have let that go in the past. She would never have missed that.
No, she's all over the place. Her head's up her ass.
And it's Madeline's fault, primarily. Yeah. Anyway, they need to go through all these images again because they've only been reviewing the single frame.
So in this, the main area, Stuart is trying to lay down the law.
In a masculine way.
In a very masculine, non-camp way to the kids before setting them off on an Easter egg hunt. And Madeline gets a shock when she sees that Lucius is there and finds out that his colleague is working a double so that he can participate in this fun.
Madeline at this point suggests to Alfie that they don't go ahead, as usual, not looking behind her or checking who's there before discussing publicly what they're doing. But Alfie threatens to go rogue.
In Olympia's office, Julian is helping the twins look for eggs and is tickled to find that his ex has taken Senior's bunny costume head and hidden it in the cupboard. It's quite risky, and I was thinking to myself, why do this? We find it a little bit later.
Yeah, we do. We get the information. Back in the U3 office, Billy and Sarah are working and not interested in allowing children to come in and look for eggs.
He then spots something in the photos.
This is super convenient when we see it, but yes, he spots something.
And this is revealed, which must be the next day, in court, where Olympia has a witness on the stand.
Steph, you said on direct that Zoe likes to embarrass people.
Yes, that's true.
Did she embarrass you by giving you a strike in front of the whole sorority for a missing pearl in your Chi Sigma Pi bracelet?
Yeah, I cried. A lot. Kennedy was the one who helped me get through it.
The same Kennedy who ran and lost to Zoe for chapter president last fall?
Yes.
How old are you and Kennedy?
I'm 19 and Kennedy is 20.
So neither one of you are old enough to legally purchase alcohol. You'd have to use somebody else's ID.
Yes, but I didn't.
You said Kennedy made you feel better. How did she do that?
She took me out for froyo. She blasted Destiny's Child because I love the oldies. And she switched bracelets with me, so that the next time we have inspections, I'd pass.
Again, because your bracelet was missing a pearl.
Yes.
This is a photo, which has already been admitted, taken that night of the party. The photo was live, and we noticed something in the background. We can see there is clearly a missing pearl. So, Is that your hand reaching into Zoe's drawer to put back her ID or Kennedy's?
I'm not sure.
No, let me help. So the match pajamas that you and Kennedy wore that night for the big little reveal was monogrammed. L for little, and what was the other letter?
B. For big.
B for big. So Kennedy stole the ID and bought the slammed.
Objection!
But Zoe had no idea what Kennedy had done and gave the cup to Violet.
Your Honor!
Want to tell the judge that you're dropping the charges, or should I?
That's like Murder, She Wrote levels of
Convenient.
clues. Do you remember which Columbo episode involved as a gotcha, a peril?
I'm sure it will when you tell me.
Dagger of the Mind. And the umbrella in the
Yes.
London one, yeah. Anyway.
In England, yeah. Yes, this is an unbelievable coincidence at this exact moment of the ID being returned to the drawer by it's almost like something out of a cartoon.
Yeah,
It's comical.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So at this point, Madeline sits beside the still distraught Zoe and tells her that she can't live in the past with the what ifs and she has to move forward, obviously thinking of her own situation.
She flashes back again to Edwin giving her the same advice. I don't think Zoe is legitimately upset. I think she's faking it while she's visible and will go back to being an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
as soon as she's out of here. She's like, not only has she killed someone, she's got away with it, and now she's back in charge of the sorority.
Is she a mean girl, do you think?
She's now untouchable.
Yeah. The four of them return to Jacobson Moor, and the place looks like a war zone after the kids have been running wild as Julian admits that he failed to limit the twins' sugar intake.
Yeah. I think that's not unreasonable in the circumstances.
He then sincerely thanks Olympia for stealing the bunny head for him, and she admits it was fun and that, married or not, they are still family. I quite liked this warmth.
Yes. And they both assure one another they will fight hard in this partner race, which, as we've said previously, we hope Julian wins and Olympia and Madeline go off to start their own firm for season 2.
An agitated Madeline then asks out loud if anyone has seen Alfie, as he has not been seen or answered a text in over an hour.
This is immediately sus to us because we know she wouldn't be that concerned about Alfie. Not because she doesn't care, but because she trusts him to be all right.
Well, she's in that. I mean, where's he going to go?
Exactly. Everyone tries to help out, and eventually Robin, the security guard, brings him through. He was stuck in the stairwell, which Stuart had warned them all about earlier on.
Yeah, it was off limits. I think you needed a key card, so once you get in, you can't get back out, apparently. Madeline chastises him and tells him he's been taken home right away and leads him to the elevator, where inside we see that this was the plan all along.
Yes, she looks disapproving until the doors close, at which point, ignoring the fact it's probably on camera,
must be.
She looks jubilant and confirms she got the information they needed, as we see a recap of the real plan being worked out earlier on in the communal area in front of people.
However, despite this success, Alfie detects that she's not quite right, which she passes off as just business stress.
Something about a case, yes. Later on in Senior's office, we get an absurd scene with Madeline and Senior.
I liked it. It is absurd, but it was
I'm not
fun.
saying it's bad,
Yes.
absurd. It's just, absurd.
Yeah, so she hears the prone Senior shouting for Stuart to get his pillow and learns that he threw his back out looking for the bunny head and shocks Nancy Reagan when he tells her he's waiting for his edible to kick in.
She seems quite surprised by this, but he says it's in a moment of clarity, he says it's safer than half the pharmaceuticals we rep.
Yes.
Which she can't disagree with.
No, but does decline to take one herself, telling him that she hasn't been on the devil's lettuce since 1972.
He tells her it's good for people like us, but she wants to know what he means by that.
Well, yeah, she visibly tenses when he describes their boneheaded similarities.
Bullheaded, to be fair.
Was it bullheaded? Sorry. Yes.
He says that bullheadedness can be an asset, but there is sometimes damage, which is something that Olympia didn't clock earlier on, and she thought it was all positive.
Yes. And that pot can help with this new perspective that...
It's a kind of paradigm shift, rather than it doesn't take away what's the damage that's been done, but it lets you look at it differently.
And again, as we've seen in this episode, certainly she has been in some sort of turmoil or stress or a state of flux. So she asks for half of one and gets a yee-ha from him before he orders Stuart to get another chair before they ride.
She looks a bit nervous at this point as we cut to Olympia's office, where our friendly ADA comes in with some of Zoe's belongings.
Yeah, where she is clearly savouring the victory rather than chocolate.
Yes. He says this is an opportunity for him to observe her in her lair, continuing the bear metaphor from earlier on, and says that he is considering pressing charges against Kennedy, which Olympia asks him not to do.
Yeah, Olympia says that Kennedy was trying to hurt Zoe, not Violet, and therefore it was an accident, not a crime. I'm not sure about that logic.
I'm not sure it's a crime, but yeah, that logic, all of her logic in this episode is quite weird and wrong, and I think coming from her perspective of needing this class action to be successful and not wanting anything to happen that challenges her clear position in that case.
Yeah, well, she says that she wants him to drop the charge so that she can get slammed off the market, which is the bear she is about to slay, and tells him to find his own.
He says that he has, and that the first rule of hunting is to be patient, so the implication is that he's still at war with her. But she's not a defence attorney, he's not likely to see her again.
No, this again, we talked last week about sort of nemesis.
Yeah.
There's no reason for this. He just created this enemy, this mortal sworn enemy.
Yeah, who's not even likely to work in his field.
Anyway. Meanwhile, in the corridor, Sarah witnesses a dishevelled and breathless Billy exit a room with Simone.
We assume that she's smart enough to figure out what's been happening there.
Yeah, I think so.
Out on the patio, though, Kira is surprised that Sarah's waited a full 7 minutes past their scheduled appointment to come and find her. So she's tested her. She's not shown up for their appointment.
Yeah. Again, I just despise this entire relationship.
Everything Kira does is bad.
She's horrible. Sarah pathetically asks her what their status is.
Kira kisses her and asks what the status felt like, but Sarah wants to know whether Kira is willing to be her monogamous partner.
Yeah, she opens up her heart to her. It's sad. It's just horrible.
Kira says she's been thinking about this, but she's not into monogamy. Would Sarah consider an open relationship? And hopefully Sarah just shoves her off the patio.
Yeah, she's a scumbag.
She's not worth Sarah's time.
She wants to have her cake and eat it, as well as other things, the buffet that Madeline talked about.
Yeah. In Senior's office.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yes. Did you say that she suggests an open relationship?
Yeah, which Sarah should very flatly refuse.
That just means I will have sex with you when I feel like it, and other people as well.
Yeah, it's not a relationship.
I mean, I don't think you hear about this, but no one. It doesn't work. An open relationship. That's just carry on stuff. It never works.
I've never tried it, I would have to say, but I can't imagine how it would work.
It's the type of thing that people say.
People are jealous.
Yeah,
they wouldn't work. In Senior's office, we see him teasing Madeline by playing the Matlock theme
I love that,
from his phone, which they both enjoy. In fact, she says she loves it more than anything she's ever heard. I think this is the edible kicking in. Either or she's...
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. I don't think... Yeah, there's no point in going through either that or...
And she tells him that she wanted a perspective shift to get over the regrets that she has.
Well, he asks why she wanted, because he said that the pot gives you a perspective shift, and he wants to know why she felt she needed that. And she talks about regrets, which he says don't serve you well.
She asks if he has any, and for the first time we find out more about the man at the top and the similarities between them.
I had a big fight with my little brother. Said some things I wish I didn't. He died in a car wreck the next day.
I'm sorry.
How'd you get past it?
Thought about revenge. Then I remembered that quote. Before you seek revenge, dig 2 graves. So that's what I did. Car manufacturers in one, tire companies in the other.
Tell me that helped.
Hell yeah. Revenge is the best.
Take away the guilt.
Most of the time. Every once in a while, the guilt comes back up, knocks me off my ass. I gotta apologize.
Apologize to?
My brother. Hey, Doug. Sorry we fought, even though I was right. And I wish you were here so we could duke it out. You got someone to apologize to? Well, try it. Go on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, screw that. Put some guts into it. If you've got regrets, speak it from your soul.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Ooh, sounds like someone hurt you.
What?
I'm teasing, Matlock.
Oh, come on.
I'm warming to Senior. He's hard not to like. I mean, he's got that sort of confidence of a rich man who knows that they can pretty much say whatever they want. And
he's sufficiently privileged that he's not going to face any real consequences.
I suppose with him, you probably know where you were.
Yeah, I guess, unless he's playing a game.
Yeah.
But I do like the two of these actors working together. He sounds so much like his brother.
Yeah.
It's almost uncanny. Although you imagine that's natural, I guess.
Pretty common, yeah.
They are acting. They could have sounded different, but yes. At this point, Madeline receives a text from Alfie.
An urgent one, and leaves to speak with him.
Yes, he speaks to her on the phone and says that he's left his wallet in Olympia's office.
He's in a panic here, yeah.
Yes, he thinks this is it. Everything is over.
Yeah, the problem is that he's got his real ID, including a loyalty card to an ice cream store.
Yeah, near their mansion.
Yes.
Not near the flat.
And so, with a fuzzy head, Madeline creeps into Olympia's office and finds it, but is then stopped by the judgmental-looking occupant.
Yes, she wants to know whether Madeline is ready for some ice cream.
Oh, and obviously with the paranoia
induced by the edible, yes.
Yes. She's worried the game is up and asks why. However, Olympia cracks a smile and notes that she looks stoned and it's her go-to in those situations. And I suppose this is the thing, I was not having a go, but we're looking at comparing and contrasting New York, US to the sort of alcohol and drinking laws. Yeah. We were doing this when we were 14, 15, but still in the UK and Scotland just now, edibles and grass or that are still illegal and, probably shouldn't be.
Well, there's that, isn't there? Yeah. Olympia asks Madeline, having heard about the session of the zero gravity chair, whether she wants to talk, but Madeline says she's okay and is moving forwards as she reverses.
She walks backwards like Michael Jackson. She returns home and...
She's got the munchies.
Yeah, she nearly goes full on American Pie.
She's faced straight into this peach pie, which she finds on the counter.
Yeah, she's digging in with her fingers, devouring it. But this pleasure is short-lived.
Yes, Edwin comes through and says he's been trying to reach her, but unfortunately she fell asleep in the car.
And he then produces the excitable Ned Flanders-esque Bitsy, who tells her that she was recently telling Cindy Shapiro how distant she has been, and fudge it, she's going to see her big sis.
They all fake laugh and the episode ends. Has Madeline been borrowing her sister's characteristics for her role?
Or they both know Cindy Shapiro. It's a real person.
That's possible, but I wonder if it was maybe she's been channeling Bitsy at times.
No, I think, let's say, Bitsy's more Ned Flanders. I don't think Madeline,
Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah is on to Billy and done with Kira, right?
Hopefully.
Justice for Sarah. Yeah. I'm putting that hashtag on all the posts that we put out from now on.
Okay, good idea.
I've mentioned this, are the flashbacks a sign that Madeline's mental state is fragile and nearing collapse, or a storytelling device we're not meant to worry about?
No, I think it does show, but we're seeing this here. She's doubting herself and she's having perhaps regrets and thinking about the things that she could have done differently. She is worried that, she has caused the death of her daughter. So, I think it's a genuine...
Yeah. My concern is that they've set these things up really nicely and there's a risk that they don't bring it home. They end up just sweeping it all under the carpet and doing a sort of hand-wavy finish, which I really hope they don't do.
I don't think they will. The show's too strong for that to happen, I think.
I thought it was interesting, actually, at this point, to look at the pace of the season. So right at the start, every episode was a week. It was like 1 week. But from episode 8 to 13, it's gone from Christmas to Easter, which is like 4 months in 4 weeks.
That's a point,
So it's accelerating through the year.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite interesting. So although I think next week's episode is a week after this one because it's this energy drink case, Slammed.
Is it? You've been looking ahead, have you?
Yeah, well, I have to. At the end of every episode, I talk about the next week's episode. Do you have any other thoughts before we go into the main case from this week?
No.
Okay, so the main case in this episode was the prosecution of sorority girl Zoe Santos for manslaughter following the death of Violet Reed. Video footage showed Zoe handing Violet a drink containing the alcopop Slamm'd and urging her to chug it. Violet suffered a heart attack as a result and died, but the case collapsed during trial when it was shown in a live photo that Kennedy, one of the other girls in the sorority, had stolen Zoe's ID to purchase the Slamm'd, and Zoe had no knowledge of it being in the drink that she gave to Violet.
Trivia.
On you go.
27th of February 2025 was the original air date, and we have a new director in Jude Weng, who was born in Taiwan. Her work includes Frasier, Quantum Leap.
Is that the new Frasier?
Yes, and the new Quantum Leap.
Okay.
Ghosts, Only Murders in the Building, Blackish, The Connors, Shameless, Young Sheldon, Fresh Off the Boat, The Good Place, Life in Pieces, and The Goldberg. Talking about The Good Place, I've been watching A Man on the Inside, which is set, again, as we've discussed, it's in a retirement sort of complex, and it's nothing like the real one. They're all very up and at 'em and full of vim and vigour. And it looks like a great place, actually. Worth a watch if you like The Good Place.
Okay.
It's a returning writer, Michelle Leibel, second of 3, the first being Claus. Another writer this week, Sheridan Watson, 14 times an executive story editor on Matlock, also known for the sex lives of college girls and Kindling. She was a plus-size model who won Tyra Banks's Fiercely Real Teen Model Search. Again, I'm not sure if these days you get away with that, or you should be having a teen model competition. It's a little bit post-Me Too, really.
Creepy.
A little bit creepy. The cast.
Carry on.
Galilee La Salvia played Zoe. She was born on the 15th of June 2003, and you may have seen her in Goosebumps, Shining Vale, Chicago Med, or Talia in the Kitchen. Andrew Gia played Assistant DA Park. Not a huge resume, but he has appeared in The Twisted Doll, VHS 85, and Finding Love in Bogota. Kennedy. Ray DeRosa. You may have seen her in The Summer I Turned Pretty, California Dreaming, My Professor's Guide to Murder, or In Pursuit with John Walsh. And finally, a tiny part.
Bitsy.
No, we'll deal with Bitsy next week.
Okay.
The detective who was summarily kicked out of the interview.
Right, she was there for 3 seconds.
Yes. It was played by Lisa Marie, born on the 5th of December 1968. A model and actress by the age of 16. You know, she was in some high-profile campaigns, Calvin Klein, etc. She was engaged to and the muse of Tim Burton, and has appeared in Miami Vice, Mars Attack. She was, if you know the poster for Mars Attack, the alien woman in the front?
Yes.
That's her.
Okay.
Ed Wood, Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes, The Lords of Salem, Silent Night, and We Are Still Here, amongst many other things. She was the uncredited inspiration for the character Sally in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a great film.
And Kyrgyzstan issued a commemorative postage stamp bearing her image.
That's a good one. I like that.
I have one piece of trivia, unless you have anything.
No, I don't. I think I went through mine already.
Okay. So The Snowkeeper's Daughter, which was the book.
I was going to ask when you mentioned it.
It's actually titled The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, and the story explores themes of grief, family secrets, betrayal, and the enduring power of love and family bonds.
Well, that's thematic.
What have we got next week?
Olympia puts her client's chances of success at risk when she sidelines Shay in favour of external jury selection help in game day.
So until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.